The warnings for the government over the state of its finances. A think tank, the National Institute for Economic and Social Research, is warning the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, that she may need to find an extra £40 billion, and that could come from tax rises or spending cuts in the budget by the autumn. Now, that is to meet her own fiscal rules. It's argued that low growth and the need to account for global shocks could lead to sustained tax rises. So let's hear now from the economist Steve Nolan from Liverpool John Moores University. Steve, good to have you here as well. And, you know, it's inevitable, isn't it? She doesn't have much choice.
No, it does feel like she's basically running out of road. As you said, this figure is basically based on the fiscal rules, the spending envelope, and the revenue. And the spending envelope is basically set now for the spending review for the next 3 years. So it's going to have to come down to taxation. And fundamentally, whether you agree with this figure or not, historically, the amount of headroom the Chancellor left herself in the budget is quite low. So I think it's inevitable that some form of tax rises are coming.
Yes, and these are her own rules, let's not forget. And those rules are important because they're about maintaining the confidence of investors and the city. So she's not got much wiggle room there. But just explain, for people watching this, so why do we need these rules? Why is it important? Why can't she just borrow more?
Well, I think to a certain extent, the rules are, as you say, to signal confidence to the city, the people that the government borrows money from, fundamentally. And also, there's an open question to what extent the UK is still essentially on the naughty step after what happened with Liz Truss's government and the mass rise in bond yields that we saw for a time there. But fundamentally, the rules are about saying that we will be sensible with the money. And to be fair, these rules are quite sensible. There's actually quite loose as well. The Chancellor has given herself a lot of ability to borrow, but because of that, she's also meant that all kind of day-to-day spending has to be met by revenue. Previous governments have been a bit more loose on that, and when they've faced situations like this, have borrowed from capital budgets, but that has meant that we've had a lack of investment. So actually the investment capital is sensible for long-term growth, but it's causing these kind of political problems at the moment.
Yeah, and do you think the Chancellor's also ruining the day that on the campaign trail the government promised that they wouldn't raise personal taxes? So once again they have fewer options than maybe they might had they not promised to do that.
I would say absolutely, but it's easy for me to say as an economist. There are different incentives for politicians when they're trying to get elected, and they may well have thought that they had to match the Conservatives' promises on taxation. But those promises in themselves, as we're kind of seeing now with the fiscal picture, were kind of irresponsible. The cuts in national insurance that Jeremy Hunt did in the two previous fiscal events before the election were simply unaffordable.
Steve, good to talk to you. Thanks for your insight. Steve Nolan there at Liverpool John Moores University. Thank you.